Pakistan. Today, I'll be presenting my research publication, which I've done in collaboration with the Department of Neuropathology at Stanford University. My research is entitled as Decoding Degeneration, the implementation of machine learning and deep learning algorithms for the clinical detection of neurodegenerative disorders. In this research, our aim was to collectively highlight the advantages, potentials, and limitations of machine learning algorithms in the clinical implementation on the early diagnosis of neurodegenerative disorders, along with by studying the previously published studies in last 10 years. So I'll start my presentation with the fact that healthcare field is greatly using artificial intelligence technologies with various applications like medical imaging, wearable sensors, and augmented and virtual reality. Machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence that recognizes patterns and extract features from large data sets. Machine learning has shown promise in healthcare, particularly in the development of early diagnostic tools and robot-assisted surgery. Moving towards what are the neurodegenerative disorders and the types of neurodegenerative disorders that we've particularly emphasized on. Neurodegenerative disorders are the type of diseases in which cells of the central nervous system stop working or die. Neurodegenerative disorders can be genetic or be caused by the tumor or stroke. The two most common types of neurodegenerative disorders are Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. In this research, we have particularly emphasized on the machine learning and deep learning algorithms which have been used for the early diagnosis of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So firstly, I'd like to shed some light on what is Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Firstly, I'll move towards Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disorder that affects the nervous system. The disease is characterized by the death of dopamine-producing neurons in the brain, leading to the decrease of dopamine levels. In Parkinson's disease, the pathogenic accumulation of alpha-cyclin in Lewy bodies and Lewy neurites drives a gradual loss of dopaminergic neurons in the dark-colored midbrain region known as substantia nigra per capsule. This loss of dopaminergic neurons occurs long before the clinical characteristics of PD manifest and contributes to a variety of motor and non-motor symptoms. Motor symptoms range from the rigidity and bradykinesia or slow impaired movement to resting tremors and posture instability. Other non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's include constipation, olfactory dysfunction, disturbed sleep, cognitive and behavioral changes, and depression. Now, what's Parkinson's? Parkinson's is one of the most common form of dementia. It is characterized by the abnormal accumulation of two proteins, amyloid beta and tau. Misfolded amyloid precursor protein aggregates to form extracellular beta amyloid plaques, and hyperphosphorylated tau forms intercellular neurofibrillary tangles. Neurofibrillary tangles and amyloid beta plaques form synaptic degeneration, and neuronal death follows, driving a neurodegenerative progression through various brain regions. Whereas there are no definitive method for the diagnosis or treatment for the Parkinson's or Alzheimer's disease. Although researchers have implemented various techniques and technologies for the diagnosis, including machine learning algorithms with neuroimaging, along with motion tracking technology to analyze pathological relevant symptoms and biomarkers for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, yet there are many limitations they're currently facing. The search strategy for our review article or for our research to identify the limitations and potential applications of machine learning in the field of early diagnosis of neurological disorders included the articles from PubMed, Google Scholar, Scientex, full text articles, books, meta-analysis, and randomized controlled trials. So now the one of the most and the traditional technique used for the diagnosis of neurological disorders and diseases include neuroimaging. Neuroimaging is a technique. Neuroimaging technologies have proven to be capable of illustrating the brain's anatomy with the resolution capable to be achieved with high quality images taken of thick tissues slices in vitro. Now, moving towards the most common types of neuroimaging used for the diagnosis in clinical settings. Firstly, magnetic resonance imaging (MRI), functional magnetic resonance imaging (fMRI), arterial spinal labeling (ASL), positron emission tomography (PET), and single photon emission computed tomography. These are five most common types of neuroimaging which are used in the diagnosis of neurological disorders. So what's MRI? MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, uses the powerful magnets to generate magnetic waves capable of forming 2 or 3 dimensional images of brain without the need of the radioactive tracers. MRI enables the imaging and evaluation of functional neural activity in the cortical regions. The images generated by MRI allow clinicians and scientists to study both functional and structural abnormalities of the brain and neurodegenerative diseases. Whereas functional MRI determines the small changes that occur in blood flow with certain brain activity. It is used to determine the parts of the brain responsible for critical function, assesses the effect of the stroke on them, and is a guide to brain treatments. There are two subtypes of functional MRIs: quantitative accessibility mapping and diffusion tensor imaging. These are the two different types of functional MRI which are used in the diagnosis of neurological disorders. The first, quantitative susceptibility mapping, detects the difference in magnetic susceptibility between healthy and damaged tissues. It is generally used to quantitatively assess the tissue properties, whereas diffusion tensor imaging exploits the sensitivity of magnetic resonance signal into water molecules with small random motions. Diffusion tensor imaging studies the reorganization of the brain in different stroke models. Now moving towards arterial spine labeling. This is a non-invasive method, can measure brain perfusion, providing a reliable technique to evaluate the cerebral blood flow of an individual susceptible to have a neurodegenerative disorder. 3D continuous ASL MRI data and tissue segmentation methods of the entire supratentorial cortex and 10 gray matters region are used to quantify cerebral blood flow and gray matter volume. ASL is generally complemented with other cognitive examinations or questionnaires. Mainly mini mental state examination is used. It is a 30 question quiz developed by Falston and McGoy in 1975 to help clinicians grade the cognitive state of the patient. The quiz assesses attention, orientation, memory, registration, recall, calculation, language, and the ability to draw complex polygons. Now coming towards last two types of neuroimaging, positron emission tomography. Positron emission tomography measures the radiation to generate 2D or 3D images that record the circulation of blood-borne radio traces throughout the brain. The primary benefit of PT is that it provides the visualization of brain activity and function, illustrating blood flow, oxygen level, and glucose metabolism in functional brain tissues. Combining PT scans with MRI, combining PET scans with structural MRI could significantly improve the accuracy of neurological disease identification. The images obtained after using the radio or tracer fluorodeoxyglucose and PET scans have been optimized to illustrate pattern characteristics of neurological diseases. Fluorodeoxyglucose PET play a crucial role in early detection and monitoring of Alzheimer's disease, illustrating pathophysiological changes in the patient's brain. So, the last is single photon emission computed tomography, which is SPECT, which is also known as SPECT. It is a functional nuclear imaging technique reliant upon radioactive traces or SPECT agents. SPECT is primarily used for the evaluation of regional cerebral blood flow. SPECT has been previously assisted in distinguishing between Alzheimer's patients and white matter vascular dementia cases by analyzing the semi-quantitative circumferential profiles. Now coming towards what is machine learning. Now I guess we need to deep dive into understand what is machine learning and its practical application. Machine learning is a subfield of AI that consists of algorithms are targeted towards recognizing patterns and extracting noteworthy information and features from large data sets. Once the patterns are identified and learned by machine learning algorithms, they can be used to classify, segment, and predict future results. In healthcare, ML is used in various domains such as in diagnosis, management, tracking the progression and therapy, the effect of the therapy, and predict outcomes. For instance, real-time remote monitoring by ML systems can detect disease severity, record its system, register patients' response towards the treatment. Now, deep learning is the more evolved form of machine learning. Deep learning is based upon neural networks. Deep learning is a soft computing technique in ML that often relies on layered algorithmic structures known as neural networks. A deep learning architecture is also referred as a hybrid model. When combined with traditional ML architectures such as support vector machine, KNN, as a classifier, deep learning neural networks have been implemented in translational studies ranging from complex or ranging in focus from sequence binding to structural and image analysis. Deep learning techniques are mainly used to classify complex problems. The evolution of deep learning started from 1960, where the first shallow neural network emerged, to till present, where now more work is being done and research is conducted on modern deep learning techniques. Moving towards the type of deep learning algorithms are divided into two different types: supervised machine learning algorithms and unsupervised machine learning algorithms. However, some of the techniques also include semi-supervised machine learning algorithms. Supervised machine learning algorithms include algorithms like naive-based classifier, logistic regression, support vector machine, decision trees, which is categorized into random forest, Bayesian multivariate predictive inference, polynomial regression, linear regression. However, unsupervised whereas the other deep learning algorithms which are based on neural networks include artificial neural networks, convolutional neural networks, recurring neural networks, classification regression trees, and KNN algorithms. Now coming towards, this is the graphical representation how the supervised machine learning algorithms work. Unsupervised machine learning algorithms work. This is the basic architecture, how the first features are sent through the model. It is trained. Next, the pooling layer summarizes the feature maps. This step is repeated through the multiple neural layers. Then the final feature maps are sent to the final fully connected layers. In some models, the final layer is fully connected, and in some models, the final layer is not connected, depending upon the complexity of the problem, where the predictions and masks are made, leading to the eventual model output. This model is adapted by the Gautam by a study published by Gautam and Sharma in 2020. Now, coming towards the unsupervised supervised algorithm. This is a step-by-step process in which the images are sent to the model. Pre-processing is done. Features are extracted by cross-validation. Machine learning models are trained, and machine learning models are trained. And then when the model is trained, it is tested and validated upon the testing data or validation data. Now let's move towards the applications of deep learning models. The applications of the deep learning models include that Bayesian network. Bayesian network is used for the classification of medical documents and prognosis system. It takes less time to train and can interpret the relationship among the predictors, but it cannot deal with higher dimensional data or efficiency with the models, and the efficiency of the model decreases with the increase of the data. This means that we cannot use Bayesian network for the 3D images such as PET scans or specs or MRIs. The highest testing accuracy or cross-validation achieved for the Bayesian network till date on neurological data, neuroimaging data set is 0.77. Logistic regression is a type of algorithm that can classify crash types, injury severity, handle non-linearity in data. The model is capable for handling non-linear data and interprets the output as probability. However, it suffers from multiple collinearity and requires large data to provide stable results. So we cannot train this model on smaller data sets, which is one of the greater limitations, because sometimes we have a data set which has a small amount of images. Now coming towards random forest, it is used to identify the cluster of patients, object identification and classification of microarray data. It is scalable, robust to noise, does not overfit, and provides explanation and visualization of the data. As per the number of trees it increases, the algorithm slows down and it takes more time to train. So this algorithm is a time consuming, so it cannot be implemented in clinical settings, since we need a robust model which uses less memory. Now coming towards SVM. SVM is used for textual classification. It does not overfit. It has high accuracy. The model is independent of features, but it has slow training time and highly complex models. So it is better to combine SVM with a neural network instead of solely using SVM and for the classification of images or clinical reports. Coming towards the second last model, deep learning model, which is KNN, visual and computational geometry. The potential application of KNN is visual and computational geometry. It is suitable for multimodal classes. Multimodal images are the images which are taken from the two sources. For example, combining PETs with functional or structural MRI. So, but it has low efficiency output. It provides good independent results, but it has low efficiency output, depends upon selection of K value, which adversely affect the noise and irrelevant features, and performance varies according to the size and size of the data set. So where the performance is varied with the size of data set, such models cannot be implemented in clinical settings because they do not provide result up to the mark. And finally, neural networks, they are used for the image classification. The biggest advantage of neural networks is that they can classify 2D and 3D images. They are robust. They most of the time, if they take time to train, but if we implement custom parameters and we play with the parameters rightly, we can have better accuracy and efficiency of the model. Now coming towards what are the evaluation of the what are the parameters used for the evaluation of the classifier's performance. There are 4 evaluating parameters which are used for the performance of the model, which is recall, specificity, precision, and accuracy. These are the formulas which are used for in machine learning to classify the performance of the model. Now coming towards the machine learning classifiers for the Alzheimer's disease, in past 10 years, a number of studies have been conducted using machine learning and deep learning models for the classification for the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease and Alzheimer's disease using different ML and DL models. Some have solely used some of the researchers have solely used machine learning algorithms. Some have used deep learning algorithms, and some of the studies have used hybrid models for the classification of Alzheimer's disease. After having a after having a complete insight over these studies, our study has identified that ML, the study published by Chow and Jen appears to be outperforming all the ML algorithms with an accuracy of 96.0%, and their model was a 3D CNN convolutional neural network model. So for Alzheimer's in future, it is important for the scientists to develop a single or combined 3D CNN model for the early diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease, instead of using single CNN model or a traditional neural network model for the classification of Alzheimer's disease. Now coming towards the machine learning classifiers for the Parkinson's disease. Many of the researchers have used different types of architecture. Some have used normal statistical models, some have used linear mixed models, some have used machine learning models like SVM, artificial neural networks, ResNet, and even though some have used Apple's proprietary algorithm, but the highest accuracy that has been seen is it's been seen by the Apple's proprietary algorithm, which is post-symptom changes matching the clinical expectations, and the accuracy is up to 94%. Now coming to the conclusion of our research, we have seen that, and we have concluded that to improve the accuracy of machine learning algorithms in detecting the neurodegenerative disorders, more patient data is required, including post-mortem data is also needed. We need to have more and more databases which have more neurological images or neuroimaging data on which models can be trained. And moreover, our study has highlighted that instead of using solely supervised models or unsupervised models, a hybrid of semi-supervised model, which uses the combination of supervised and unsupervised models, should be implemented for achieving higher accuracy results, combining neuroimages such as MRI, SL-PET, with such as we can combine neural images, and we can combine neural images with we can combine neural networks with SVM and KNN algorithms, and this can be combined when we are implementing a neural network, such as we are implementing DenseNet 121. We should remove the last layer of the model and combine and add an SVM machine learning algorithm in it, and which will highly improve our classification. So lastly, deep learning classification models are based on time series and learned patients' temporal patterns, but reliable and explainable biomarkers are needed for functional MRI images to be implemented, and if we want to implement deep learning classification models in the clinical settings. Moreover, our research also highlighted that wearable sensors such as electrochemical and bioelectrical sensors that integrate electrochemical or biocatalytic sensors and inertial sensors can be used for the early diagnosis and symptoms for the monitoring of neurodegenerative disorders. While infrared ambient sensors can monitor behavioral symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. One thing to be understood here is that while using wearable sensors, they capture the unneeded noise in their sensors. So we need to implement different types of filters in our sensors so that they filter the noise and provide us the filtered signal to classify or to identify the symptoms of neurological diseases. Now, wearables, one of the most common or the most promising wearable sensors, which is under research and is under development, is NeuroGlass. It is being developed for the early detection of neurodegenerative disorders. NeuroGlass seeks to integrate sensors capable of tracking head and eye movement. It it catches the tracks the velocity, acceleration, blood pressure, body temperature, blood oxygenation, electroencephalography, electrooculography, and transcranial impedance. Neuroglass is the primary technique that measures the eye motion and ocular tumor. Clinicians and scientists believe that the eye and head movement quantification could represent an effective approach for the early detection of neurological disorders and drastically reducing the diagnostic error. Now, moreover, for to improve the models, the another technique that we've proposed in our research, which upon which in future research can be conducted, is the development of a neural architectural space, which is a cross-model representation fusion, and it should be solely for the neuro images, for the classification of neuro images, which is based upon three fundamental parameters: search space, specific parameters, and classification. The models can be trained upon their own. This technique will automatically select, compose, and parameterize the DL models to achieve the maximum accuracy and optimal model performance on provided fMRI or neural images to optimize the search space, search strategy, and performance estimation strategy. Thank you. If you have any questions, you may proceed.
Okay, Doctor, it was a very good presentation.